Albert Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You could apply this to many things in Formula 1. For example, Ferrari attempting to win a championship, or George Russell trying to get his opponents penalised for stuff they didn't do. Perhaps the saddest application of this, though, is drivers and teams' pleas to fans to stop online abuse. They keep doing it expecting people to change, but no matter how many times they try, the results are the exact same. People continue receiving death threats and hurtful messages. Well, the FIA have now decided it's time for change. Enough is enough. How are they going to stop online abuse? And will their attempts actually make any difference? Stick around for the answers to these questions and so many more. The president of the FIA, Mohammed bin Sulayem, has condemned death threats made against a Formula 1 race steward and warned that the toxic abuse directed at FIA staff and volunteers threatens to destroy the sport. As F1 reels under an onslaught of often poisonous online abuse between fans of different drivers, bin Sulayem revealed that the FIA steward, Sylvia Bellot, had recently received death threats. He also noted that other FIA staff had been targeted with harassment and hate posts, which he insisted was unacceptable. This is, of course, nothing new. We could trace it back to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2021 and Michael Massey's decision to withdraw a late safety car early, the result of which was Max Verstappen being given the chance to pass Lewis Hamilton and win the Drivers' World Championship. The fallout of that decision did prompt an incredible amount of online abuse, but placing the blame there would be very short-sighted. Many people would say that you could trace the increase in online abuse back to the first season of Drive to Survive being released. The Netflix series certainly dramatized the sport and added color to rivalries that had always existed. It certainly provided more of a backstory to the sport and gave fans who don't spend their whole week reading every Formula 1 news site an insight into what happens around the sport. Others have blamed Netflix in a different way, saying it has brought new fans to the sport who are the toxic ones, and all the old fans are saints without a bad word to say about anyone. That is naive and elitist. Drive to Survive has been a large factor in Formula 1's recent growth in popularity. That's undeniable. But is it the reason for fan toxicity? Well, maybe, but it definitely isn't the largest reason. We've read people blaming Max Verstappen fans or Lewis Hamilton fans for the rise in online toxicity. While those two fan bases may be picked out more than others, it isn't their fault. They've been the two most prominent drivers in the sport for the last 2 years, so they of course get the most attention. Those 2 years are the same time frame that this story has developed over. So what is causing it? And what are the FIA planning on doing about it? Before we answer that, let me tell you about Established Titles, an incredible company that's preserving the natural woodlands of Scotland and helping with global reforestation. This amazing last-minute gift makes you the owner of 1 square foot of land in Eddleston, Scotland, and Established Titles plants a tree with the global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. That's great and all, but this gift offers even more. There is an old Scottish tradition of calling landowners lairds, which is lord or lady to those of you who don't live in 15th century Scotland. By gifting someone land in Scotland, you give them the right to call themselves a lord or lady, and they get a certificate to prove it. You can add lord or lady to your credit card, plane tickets, or even your FIA super license. You do have one, don't you? The first 200 people who purchase a title pack using our link will get their plot pretty much directly next to mine. This isn't just an amazing last-minute gift, we could also start our own little Scottish kingdom. Established Titles is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use the code F1Reverse, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/F1Reverse to get your gifts now and help support the channel. If you bought an Established Titles product with our code, let us know in the comments below so we can shout you out by your proper title. The FIA released a statement from Mohammed bin Sulayem on the 8th of November, addressing the online abuse of Sylvia Bellot and other members of the FIA. It is utterly deplorable that a volunteer such as Sylvia, or any other marshals or officials who volunteered their time to allow us to go racing, is the subject of such hatred, he said. It is totally unacceptable that our volunteers, officials, and employees are subjected to this extreme abuse. It has no place in our sport. It has a devastating effect on our mental health and that of our loved ones. Without these people, there would be no racing. We have to ask ourselves, Who would want to pursue becoming a top official in this environment? The reality is obvious. If this continues, it will destroy our sport. Do you want to know what she received death threats over? It was Fernando Alonso's penalty at the Austin Grand Prix that was eventually turned over. This wasn't championship deciding. It wasn't budget cap related. It wasn't even over a battle between Max and Lewis. It was over a 30-second penalty for his car being unsafe to drive. So what is the FIA's plan to deal with the rising toxicity of Formula One's online landscape? The plan is to pursue a process of attempting to prevent the abuse, working with social media companies, and to use artificial intelligence to remove unacceptable content from their own channels, in what Ben Sulayem described as a concerted campaign, with further details to be announced at the season finale in Abu Dhabi. The announcement of this campaign comes after both Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen condemned the toxicity of F1 social media that has become noticeably and progressively worse this season. Hamilton was sufficiently disillusioned with the situation to state last week, "We should all come off social media." Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team boycotted Sky Sports in Mexico for coverage that fueled the problem as well. The recent comments by Hamilton and the boycott by Red Bull are just the most recent developments in this story. It's been a problem all year. The whole of the Formula One paddock stood behind Nicholas Latifi during the winter break after he received so many death threats that he hired more security out of fear for himself and his family. That was because it was his crash that brought out the late safety car in Abu Dhabi. There was also the retirement of Yuki Tsunoda at the Dutch Grand Prix, an unfortunate series of events that ended in a safety car to recover the AlphaTauri, allowing Max Verstappen a pit stop under safety car conditions at an opportune moment. Sky Sports commentary instantly floated the idea that he may have retired on purpose to help Verstappen, and then questioned Toto Wolff about whether he thought that was what had happened. Hannah Schmitz, Red Bull's chief strategist, and Yuki Tsunoda both received death threats after the race, and both teams, as well as the rest of the grid, released statements defending the two. It isn't just online abuse that's become a problem recently. The FIA are also expected shortly to announce a comprehensive program of measures to tackle harassment and threatening behavior at race meetings, after this year's Austrian GP was marred by a series of accusations of sexist catcalling, inappropriate touching of female fans, and homophobic and racist abuse. The abuse at the race led to the beginning of the Drive It Out campaign. The campaign's release video featured all 20 drivers and the chiefs of the FIA and F1, condemning abuse both at events and online, and calling on people to immediately block and report offenders. A number of drivers were vocal after the Austrian Grand Prix about the reports of abuse, including Sebastian Vettel, who called for lifetime bans from attending F1 events to be handed out to those found responsible. Lewis Hamilton called the behavior disgusting, while Mercedes F1 boss Toto Wolff told those responsible to F off and stay at home. While Formula One and its fans have their part to play in stopping the growth of online abuse, the problem isn't just limited to the sport, which is why we don't think the root cause of the problem can be traced to a place in Formula One. A quick search for online sports abuse will throw up thousands upon thousands of articles regarding online abuse. Some of it is racist, others are homophobic, or sexist or xenophobic. It doesn't matter what it is, all of it is completely unacceptable. More than 3,000 offensive tweets are sent to UK members of Parliament every day, a BBC investigation into the extent of online abuse has found. Analysis of 3 million tweets aimed at MPs over a 6-week period found more than 130,000. Around 1 in 20 could be classed as toxic. This problem isn't just limited to Formula One. It isn't even limited to sport. This is a societal problem that needs addressing. We can blame social media sites for giving people a platform to spread hate, and they should definitely be doing more to stop it, but they also aren't to blame. We, the people, are to blame. Can you say that you've called out online abuse when you've seen it and reported it? Can you say you've never been abusive online? I know I can't say that, but I'm going to work at being better. You can be critical of drivers and teams. You can disagree with people. Hell, you can even get into arguments with people. But when those criticisms, discussions, and arguments become abusive, that's when it's gone too far. And that is when we can all work together to stop online abuse. What do you think we can do to stop online abuse? Let us know in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.